Hey everyone, I'm Grant Cohn. That's Lowell Cohn. Together, we are the Cohn Zone. Usually we go live on Tuesday. I was on vacation, so we're going live on Thursday, which works out because the news broke on Wednesday this week. Fred Warner signed a Mondo extension that looks better on paper than it probably really is. I'd love to get my dad's take on that extension before we dive into our feature today where we grade each starter on the 49ers, give him a letter grade. So, Dad, what'd you think of Fred Warner's Mondo extension?
Okay, first of all credit to the 49ers for signing him, for having him part of the team for the next 5 years if things work out the way they're supposed to. And I want to also praise the Niners for making important signings. They signed Kittle, they signed Trent Williams, they signed Fred Warner. Now, they didn't sign Buckner. That's really bad. But the others are wonderful, and it means that they're keeping their core intact. So
right.
All praise to them for that. I mean, that's just great.
And they do have a very impressive core, right? It's Williams, Kittle, Warner, and Armstead. Those are the four. It should be Buckner instead of Armstead, but 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Right. Look, Iggy, they're loaded. They have a really good team. They're loaded. Yeah. I want to say what I understood was it was $95 million for 5 years. But what I've learned with the NFL is those numbers are meaningless. In baseball, they're guaranteed contracts. So if someone got $95 million, he really got $95 million, as far as I understand it. But with football, you got to really read the subtext. My guess is he's got about half of that guaranteed.
Sort of. I mean, basically, he got $27.5 million guaranteed at signing, and there's an additional 12.5, 13 million guaranteed for injuries, but they're kind of different things. You know what I mean? So basically, he's got 27.5 guaranteed.
Yeah. So when you say 95 million, it's ridiculous. It's not what the contract really is. And what I want to say is, it's too bad that the football players have to live in a system like that.
Yeah.
I'm not very good on economics or history for that matter, but as I understand it, in baseball, they have a very strong union. And they really, really can advocate for the players and get better contracts. For whatever reason, football players, and you think of them as so tough, have a wishy-washy union compared to baseball. And they, as a result, a great player like Warner, it's not what it sounds like. And I, in this regard, I'm all in with the players, and I don't feel bad for Warner. He just got a lot of money, and he could make $95 million. Iggy, I don't think he ever will.
I probably won't. Technically, he's the highest paid linebacker of all time. The market is changing, though. The quarterbacks are starting to change it. Kirk Cousins has been signing nothing but fully guaranteed contracts the last 3 years with Minnesota. And it seems like that's one way you can go about it. But you'd have to be a quarterback who's really good, who's commanding $30, $40 million a year. Linebackers aren't quite there yet. Maybe one day. But it seems like the logic that they use in the NFL is, well, these guys get hurt, and you can't have these teams stuck paying players who are hurt. I don't know. Maybe they should update that.
Well, I understand how the owners feel. I do understand that. They get hurt playing for these owners.
I have a solution. Honestly. Make the contracts guaranteed. It's the price of doing business. It's the owner's risk when you sign these guys. And 2, get rid of the salary cap. What the hell is the purpose of a salary cap, Dad?
The purpose is that smaller markets like Jacksonville can compete with bigger markets.
But Jacksonville doesn't compete anyway. They always suck. I say get rid of the salary cap or make it way higher. And make these contracts guaranteed. Make it more like baseball. Although I know there is a pseudo salary cap in baseball now too.
Sounds good to me, Iggy. It sounds very good to me.
All right, let's move on. Let's get to the meat of our. Iggy, let's go.
I got one more question. Mm-hmm. We're going to go through the whole team. I know you've talked about this on other broadcasts yesterday and today. Very quickly, tell us, why is it so important that they re-signed Warner and for 5 years? Why is that so important?
Well, let's start. He's the best linebacker in the league. He's excellent at stopping the run, which usually is a linebacker's number one job, but not really anymore. It's a passing league, and every player on defense either has to be a great pass rusher or great in coverage. And Warner's the best coverage linebacker in the league. He's 6'3". He played basically nickelback in college. He was a DB in college at BYU. He's put on a ton of muscle, and now he plays middle linebacker at 240 pounds, but he still runs like he's 215. He can cover tight ends, wide receivers, whomever, and he's the best at that. Then there's all the intangible stuff. He's the leader of the defense. He's taken ownership of this team in ways that no one has since Joe Staley and Frank Gore, and he's 24 years old. He's the brains of the defense. He's basically like a coordinator on the field. He's smarter than probably most quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's never missed a game. I mean, he's everything you want from a football player.
Okay, I got it. All right, I love it. Thank you. So what we're going to try to do now is, just for the fun of it, go through the 24 starters, including special team kickers.
Absolutely.
And give them a letter grade. So, Iggy, why don't you kick it off? If you don't mind, let's start with the defense at the back end.
Okay, let's start with Jimmy Ward, the free safety. And I've already gone through, I've given letter grades for each of them. I've basically given A's, B's, and C's. I haven't given pluses and minuses. I don't have any D's here. Okay. Figure if you're a starter, you should at least be a C on this team.
Sure.
You can disagree. And if you want to add pluses, minuses, A++, triple pluses, you're welcome to. But this is where I'm starting from, okay? Jimmy Ward, the starting free safety. Now, call me biased because he just came on my show. I'm going to give him an A. I've heard the case he's made for himself. He's saying he's the best coverage safety in the league. He can play corner. He's so good at coverage. That's true. The only real knock against him is that he doesn't produce a lot of turnovers. Hard to do when you're covering people and people are throwing the ball the other way, and that he gets hurt. Well, he hasn't really got hurt much the last 2 years. So I'm going to give him an A.
I agree. I'd give him an A.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, no quarrel there. A good place to start with an A at free safety.
When we finish this, the whole team, we can go back and count. I already have the number, like how many A's the Niners have in their starting lineup, how many B's, how many C's, and see where they stand. So far, 1A, they're starting free safety. Starting strong safety, Jaquiski Tartt. Tartt's interesting. In a lot of ways, he's like Ward. He's great in coverage. He's bigger than Ward. He's not quite as fast as Ward, but he can cover bigger receivers, and he can cover all kind of stuff. He can play free safety, strong safety. He's really good. Problem with Tartt is that he gets hurt every year, or really he has, and he misses about half the year. So as good as he is, you can't give him an A. He's not I wouldn't say he's a C player. A C player is someone who's replaceable. I think he's an asset when he's on the field. So I'm going to give him a B. Sounds
good to me. And if he didn't get hurt so much, you'd give him an A, right?
I would. I think he's a lot like Jimmy Ward.
Okay. So he is a B because he gets hurt, and that's serious.
Right. No question. But he's a B with the potential to be an A because Jimmy Ward was in the same place as Tartt, getting hurt every year, and then all of a sudden he's not. So we'll see. All right. Next, let's go to the cornerbacks. Jason Verrett, starting corner. He's here last year. He was hurt a lot of years before he got here, but he was great last year. And he was great a few years ago on the Chargers. He's done it twice. Basically, when he's healthy, he's great. He's about 5'9", 5'10". So there are some 6'4" wide receivers he doesn't match up well with, but everyone 6'2" and below has a really tough time against Jason Verrett. I'm giving him an A.
I'm giving him an A, and I want to say, in a way, he brought that whole secondary together, Iggy.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, so if we were giving pluses and minuses, and let's not, he might get a plus.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yes. He's a former first-round pick who plays like it. He just got so many injuries for like 4 years, but now he's good. And, you know, the funny thing was last year, he didn't really get healthy until week 3. He was hurt in training camp. This year, he's been healthy all offseason. He might be even better this year. And one thing about being hurt all the time, he didn't play. So he's relatively fresh for a 29-year-old, 30-year-old corner.
Iggy, I hope that you get, if you're allowed into the locker room, that you get to meet him and talk to him. I'd like to know what he's like.
He would be very interesting. Absolutely. Yes. Domain Threat says not too many issues with the starters. It's the depth where most of the concern lies. Too many first-round misses taking his toll. That's a good point. Maybe one day we can go over the depth, but today we're doing starters. All right. So we've got 3 guys down, 2 A's and a B. The other starting corner, Emmanuel Mosley. They gave him a new contract this year. He's getting a couple of $1 million. They kept him over at Kello Witherspoon and Richard Sherman. He played in the Super Bowl with them. He's been a starter for 2 years, off and on. He's a solid player. You could do worse. I'd give him a C. That's not a bad player. He's a solid player. You could definitely do worse. He's a decent starting cornerback in the league. But the Niners did draft a corner in round 3 this year, Ambry Thomas, who is going to take Emmanuel Mosley's job eventually, the way Trey Lance is going to take Jimmy Garoppolo's job eventually. That's the expectation. So the idea is the Niners will upgrade from a C to a B or an A eventually. But for right now, they have a nice place holding C at corner.
Fine by me. I have a question for you.
Yes.
What keeps Mosley from being a B?
He's not physically gifted. He was an undrafted free agent. So he's a little skinny. He's a little small. He's about 5'10". He's not that strong. But he's really competitive. He's really confident. He can't match up with the best wide receivers in the league, but he's right there at the catch point. I mean, he doesn't get beat by much, and he's very competitive. So he can hold his own against backup wide receivers, ordinary wide receivers. It's just the elite ones that he can't quite keep up with because they're first-round picks, and he wasn't.
It sounds like you respect him.
I absolutely respect him. He's in that class of player like Nick Mullins, Ross Dwelly, Jeff Wilson Jr., undrafted free agents who really shouldn't be in the NFL and have made it based on determination, work ethic, professionalism, all that stuff, which I respect.
Okay.
So he's a high-level C, considering how, he's not like an underperforming first-round pick. He's an overperforming undrafted free agent. And those guys are good.
Love it.
Domain says Alex Mack will be the most important upgrade amongst the starters this year. Cannot overstate how important the center position is in this offense. Well, we're going to get to Alex Mack. Don't you worry. He's getting excited. Domain thread. He's already donated $15. Thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
Defense, but we're getting there.
Domain Threat's a great guy. He was donating all day yesterday. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Moving on. I want to do another corner. It used to be the starting defense was 3 linebackers, 4 defensive backs, but really football's changed. And most of the time the defense is playing with 5 defensive backs, a nickel. And that third linebacker is really more of a backup. So I'm going to say K'Wan Williams is a starter. And K'Wan Williams is a hell of a player. He's not great in man-to-man coverage because he's 5'9". There's a lot of tall, same with Verrett, a lot of tall guys who can beat him, a lot of fast guys who can beat him, but in zone coverage, he's great. He's great at blitzing. He forces fumbles. He recovers fumbles. He was Robert Saleh's kind of favorite chess piece. Robert Saleh says he likes using the pawn. This was his secret weapon pawn. He's real small. You can't really see him. And all of a sudden he's sacking the quarterback. Only problem is he misses games too. So I'd put him in the Jaquiski Tart B range. Good player who getting a little old for a DB and may not be able to play a full season anymore.
He gets hurt.
Yeah, he played 8 games last year, and that's a problem. But when he does play, he's almost like the Kyle Juszczyk of the defense. You forget about him, but he's a playmaker. He's very important.
Iggy, before we move on, that unit, all 5, that's one hell of a unit.
It is one hell of a unit. It used to be a weakness, but
yes,
they've gotten all these guys who've really come into their own in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're terrific.
Good for them.
I mean, really, just Jimmy Ward and Jason Verrett are quite a duo to have in your secondary. And then to have guys who are questionable with K'Wan Williams and Jaquiski Tart, those guys are really good players when they're there. And they're there right now. So it's one of the better secondaries in the league, surprisingly.
Yes, and we used to say, really even last season, they build in an old way from the front to the back and skimp on the back end. Now they're strong there. Yes.
Well, they got Jason Verrett basically at a 5 and dime store. He was secondhand, and that one worked out. And they inherited Jimmy Ward and hung on to him to their credit. Same with Jaquiski Tart. So they haven't really made big-time investments, but the investments they have made have really paid off. So good for them. Yeah. All right, let's go to linebacker. Fred Warner. A+++. I already made the case for him earlier. He's good at everything, and he's the modern linebacker. He's even better in coverage than he is against the run.
That's the modern linebacker, right?
Yes, because really the running game, it matters, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl running the ball. At a certain point, it's a passing league, and the run game makes passing easier. It sets up play action. It's very important, but you don't pay running backs $15 million a year. You don't pay linebackers $15 million a year who stop the run. Really, the running backs who matter are the ones who also catch passes, like Roger Craig. And the linebackers who matter are the ones who also cover, like Warner, Willis, Bowman. Those guys were modern as well.
Okay.
Anyway, hold on. Baruna says, Chef Tommy's in the chat. You can thank him now. Oh, Chef Tommy was the one who donated and asked the question of Jimmy Ward what he thought of Matthew Stafford. And that's the one that got the most traction that hit. So thank you very much, Tommy. I took a lot of credit for that, but that was all you. Just wanted to say that. All right, moving on. Next linebacker, Dre Greenlaw. Greenlaw took Quan Alexander's job. It was supposed to be Quan Alexander and Fred Warner, but Quan Alexander was a C. He was not that good. He was inconsistent. He got hurt. Dre Greenlaw took his job. He was a 5th-round pick, and it's been an upgrade. I think he's a solid player who is improving. I'd give him a B.
I'd give him a B.
Yeah.
And so playing along an A+++ along with, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and the B is improving. I don't know if the B will ever be an A, but he could be a B+, and he might be an A one day.
Is he a hard hitter?
He's a really hard. That's the thing. He's actually a harder hitter than Fred Warner. He probably runs a little faster than Fred Warner, hits harder than Fred Warner. He's just not as fluid in coverage. He's more of a classic just run and hit linebacker, which is useful, but not as valuable as what Fred Warner does. So that's why I'd give him a B. He's very good at what he does, which is hit hard. Yep, absolutely. Okay, let's go to the defensive line because we're only doing 2 linebackers. I'm not counting D Ford anymore. If he plays, God love him. But the Niners signed a guy, Samson Ebukam, this year to, I think, basically replace D Ford. And Ebukam comes from the Rams. He was an outside linebacker for them. He's going to play defensive end for the Niners. And he's about the same size as Ford. He's about the same speed as Ford, but they're totally opposites. Ford runs in real fast and causes pressure, makes the quarterback move. Samson Ebukam runs into the blocker and pushes him in, collapses the pocket, and isn't a great pass rusher. But if the quarterback tries to leave the pocket and scramble, he'll get him. He's really fast. And that's almost, I think, where the league is going now. There's so many 23-year-old quarterbacks who can run and don't really know what they're looking at or seeing from the pocket. That's almost like it used to be, move them off their spot, get them out of there, make them uncomfortable. Now it's almost like keep them in the pocket and make them execute as a quarterback. He can do that. And I think the Niners' Achilles heel on defense for years has been the mobile quarterback. He should help with that. I think this guy's a solid B and their best signing of the offseason.
Is he a fast runner?
Oh, he ran a 4.5 flat at the combine at about 240 pounds. 240 pounds, Dad. That's something I could never run a 4.5 flat, even when I was 160 pounds in high school, really moving. So yes, he's extremely fast.
You could. You were very fast.
Maybe. But yeah, he's a good athlete. Yes. Kind of like Ahmad Brooks, good athlete, not necessarily a refined pass rusher, a little bit smaller, but it's a great all-around athlete. I'll give him a B. Okay. Next guy, Eric Armstead. They're paying him to be an A. They're giving him. He's going to be making $20 million a year, starting next year. And he's not worth that. He's not a refined pass rusher. He is a very good run defender. And to give him credit, he was playing out of position last year. D Ford went down. Nick Bosa went down. He's an interior pass rusher who stops the run on the edge. He had to play DN the entire year, and he's not a full-time edge rusher. So when he gets to do what he's supposed to do, he's a solid B.
I think he's a C.
Fair. I have history with Eric Armstead. I don't want people to think I'm out to get him. I do think he's a good run defender, and I'd give him credit for that. But as a pass rusher, A run defender, C pass rusher.
Okay. It's not Iggy who's giving him a C. It's me. I think he's not an impact player. And you talk Iggy, when you defined the C before, you said someone who's good but is replaceable.
Yeah.
I think this guy should play. I'm sorry, Eric.
That's fair.
I'm sorry. I never met you. Nothing personal. So far, it's the only place I disagree with you, Iggy.
That's fair. I see what you're saying. Armstead, I think he's good against the run, but so is Kentavious Street, his backup, who makes nothing. There's a lot of guys who do what Eric Armstead does. The main threat's back. He says need a solid succession plan for Armstead, paying him too much for the production he brings. See, Armstead's not going anywhere. They don't have guaranteed contracts, but they have this thing called dead money. And some, depending on how they're constructed, some contracts have more than others, and he has a lot. Getting away from him is going to be very painful for the 49ers. He's going to be here for a while. So that's something to look forward to. Okay, I say B for Armstead. You said C. I'm convinced. Next is his running mate, Javon Kinlaw, who I think is just a young Armstead. He's very good against the run. He had a sack and a half last year, something like that. And I don't see any plan or any moves from him as a pass rusher. He runs straight into the guy in front of him and loses, although he's very good against the run. So he's very good against the run. He's excellent against the run, and that's important. So I'm going to give him a B. But if you think Eric Armstead's a C, this guy might be a C too.
Iggy, this guy was a first-round draft pick, right?
Yes.
Last year.
Yes.
I think he's a C.
Yeah. Fair. Okay. I was trying to be generous, but I think I can put Kinlaw and Armstead in the C category. Really, I mean, Armstead's had one productive season in his life. Kinlaw's had 0. They're good against the run, but as I said earlier, it's a passing league. Being good against the run isn't really enough anymore, and it means you're replaceable. So C for those two. But Kinlaw has potential. He only played 1 year in the league. He could get better. Armstead, I don't know what his deal is, man. Maybe he just needs another contract year. I don't know. But let's move on. Nick Bosa.
Now it's interesting.
Nick Bosa.
What'd you give him, Iggy?
I gave him an A. He got hurt. It's hard to say that he's going to be hurt all the time, although he was in college. I gave him an A because when he was on the field as a rookie, he didn't get hurt that season, and he was just as good as DeForest Buckner. He was the co-MVP of that defense as a rookie. Although I do think his playing style is a little dangerous. He doesn't have the long arms that Aldon Smith had. He has to dive to get the sack. He has to dive, and he ends up on the ground, and I just think that's maybe part of the reason why he gets hurt. But I'm going to give him an A. What do you think?
Well, let me just, I want to reorient myself. He's been in the league 2 years.
Been in the league 2 years, and he missed 1.
That's right.
Yeah.
He had a great rookie season.
Yes.
He was great. He had a great rookie season. Iggy, how many games did he play last season?
1. 1 plus. 1 plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to keep you with your reasoning.
That's fair.
You graded people down for being hurt.
That's true.
Tart graded down for.
It's true.
So
it's true.
If we're going to be consistent with our standards, I can't give him an A. How do you give him an A? Who missed virtually, he's had 2 seasons and he missed half of the 2 seasons.
That's
so
true.
What I'm saying is, I think it would be generous to give him a B. I'll give him a B with the hope that he can remain available and healthy. When he plays, he's an A. When he plays, he's an A. But if you don't play,
that's fair. That's fair. No, I want to correct this. I want to be able to go back at the. That's fair. Let's give him a B, and let's give Kinlaw a C, and let's give Armstead a C.
Okay.
So we got 2 Bs on the ends in Ebukam and Bosa, 2 Cs in the interior. Now C's could become Bs. Bosa could become an A. Yes. We're just being consistent here.
Yeah.
They haven't proven it yet. We're not saying Bosa can't be an A. We're saying as of now, he has been an A. He was an A his rookie year, and we docked him for missing the entire sophomore year. Yeah. And we could put him back up. All he needs to do is have another 2019 season. He's back up in A range.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Be real clear.
Yeah.
But this isn't about potential. We're not grading potential here or what he could do, where he is today.
Right. And Iggy, we're trying to keep our standards consistent.
Yes, and that's important.
Yes.
Okay, that's the defense. Shall we move on to the offense?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start with the wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk was a rookie last year. He started 12 games. He was on pace to beat Jerry Rice's rookie Niners record for yards for a wide receiver, but he only played 12 games, missed 4, didn't do it. Did play with 3 different quarterbacks, produced with all 3. Looked pretty freaking good. I'm going to give him a B with the potential to be an A as soon as this year. He looked really good.
Iggy, I love him.
Yeah.
I give him an A.
Give him an A. Only reason I'm not is, again, consistency. 12
Okay.
games. 12
All
games. If we're going to say that Nick Bosa is not an A, then I can't say that Ayuk's an A either. But he's just – I think he is the Bosa of the offense.
Okay.
And the guy most likely to be an A in like 3 months.
I'm going with your B. I'm going with your B. You persuaded me, but I have to say I love the way that guy plays, and I think he's going to be a big star in the league, Iggy.
I agree. I think he'll be an A wide receiver for a long time.
Yes.
Niner Lifers SF 415 says always great to hear Lowell drop knowledge. I agree.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
I'm in a good mood today because I haven't seen Iggy in a long time. I'm going to see him Saturday night at his brother's house. And so I'm getting to see him for the first time since he went away to San Diego. And what a face. That Punham, I love it. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're giving Ayuk a B for now.
For now.
Deebo Samuel is different. He also had an excellent rookie year, like Ayuk. Maybe even a better rookie year because he played in the playoffs and he was really good in the Super Bowl. But then he played his second year and he broke his foot in like June working out and then missed time and got out of shape and then came back and pulled his hamstring because that's what happens when you miss time and you're out of shape, and he kept pulling his hamstring. And he's had this issue in college too, breaking bones, pulling muscles. That's why I'm going to give him a B. I think he's not quite as good as Ayuk, but almost in different ways. It's just the injury question with him is more severe. And I don't know if he has the potential to be an A. He may just be a B player, but a B player is good. I mean, it's better than a C. A B player is an asset. So I would give him a B.
Iggy, I agree with the B, especially because of his injuries. But when I see him perform in games, holy mackerel, he's a game changer, Iggy. He's a guy who gets yards after the catch.
Yes.
Bill Walsh told me at Yak. He's a Yak guy, right?
So he's even better than Kittle at that. He averages like 8 yards after the catch. 8 yards.
So what I would say with him is B for sure because of the injuries, but absolutely the potential to be an A.
Okay, so what the Niners have is we gave their defense a lot of high grades. Their offense is a little less established, but they have 2 really promising wide receivers. One guy is in his 3rd year, one guy's in his 2nd year. They could go crazy this year. This could be the year that they both become superstars.
I agree.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind. All right, let's go to where are we going to go next? How about running back? Raheem Mostert is still a starter of this team. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's about to be 30. He still hasn't ran the ball that much in his career. I think he probably has less than 400 career carries. Still the fastest running back in the league. He was phenomenal in 2019 as a backup. He became the starter last year, got hurt right away, and still averaged about 5 yards a carry, but couldn't really play more than a couple games at a time. How would you grade Raheem Mostert? Well, I'll give him my grade if you want. You go ahead.
Okay, tell us the grade.
I give him a B for the same reason I would give Nick Bosa a B and Ayuk a B. He needs to do it again. He needs to prove it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I would again say, I said I love to watch Ayuk play. I love to watch Mostert play.
Me too.
He is such an interesting running back. And he, when you think people are going to grab him at the line of scrimmage, God, does he accelerate. And he's shifty. He's strong. He's determined. He's a runner with that high knee lift I love. So again, yes, injuries are an issue and durability is an issue with him, Iggy.
Yes.
You know, he's not a guy you're going to give the ball maybe 20 times a game. But when you give it, boy, is that exciting. So I'd say he's a phenomenal B.
Yeah, if you give him the ball 10 times a game, chances are one of those could be 50-yard run.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's so different from what Niner fans are used to from Frank Gore. Frank Gore wasn't fast and ran between the tackles and was 5'9". And by the time he hit the hole, he was almost 5'3". He would make himself so small. And when he did open up in the open field, he wasn't slow, but he didn't have like tremendous knee lift. He didn't look like a track star. I doubt he ran much track. Mostert was better at track than football in college. And when he's in the open field, he's got that huge knee lift. It's really fun to watch.
Oh, God.
but he's more of an upright runner. He almost looks like he shouldn't be good, but he's also kind of straight line-ish. I mean, he's very much got the sprinter's gait, not the quick. That's most running backs have that tiny little stride. He doesn't have that, but he's got such good vision. He sees the hole, the cutback lane, and he almost moves like he's surfing, and he is a surfer. I like that about him.
Iggy, is he a good pass catcher?
He is a good pass catcher. I mean, he has good hands. He has good hands, and he played wide receiver in college before he played running back. He's not like a super sophisticated route runner the way maybe Roger Craig was, but he has 75-yard touchdown catch last year. Yeah, he is a good receiver.
Yeah, I love the way he plays.
Yes. Okay. So another B with the potential to be an A. The Niners have a quite intriguing offense. All right, let's move on to fullback, Kyle Juszczyk. I think this guy's an A. I think he's another guy who's good at everything he does. I think he's arguably as good as George Kittle. Just doesn't get as much notoriety and usage. Great blocker, great receiver, does everything.
As a receiver, he is so sneaky.
Yes.
All of a sudden, he catches a pass down the field.
Down the field because he's fast. Yes.
Yeah. He's a flat out A.
And if you miss him, if he throws a little high or a little behind him, he can dive. He can catch the ball away from his frame, which a lot of tight ends can't even do. Kittle struggles with that sometimes. Juszczyk catches the ball like a wide receiver. Really good athlete. Should get the ball more.
If I were covering the team, some of the ones I'd like to get to know, again, not as friends, but to interview, certainly Juszczyk, certainly Jimmy Ward, those two, I would love to get to know them. The way I loved getting to know Ahmad Brooks.
Absolutely. You know, Jimmy Ward might be the smartest player on the defense. I mean, Fred Warner, I'm sure, is very smart too, but Jimmy Ward's brilliant. And I think Kyle Juszczyk's the smartest guy on the offense.
You'd say he's brilliant?
Both of them. Yeah, both of them are brilliant. Just listening to Jimmy Ward talk about everything was so interesting. I thought he was really, really smart. Yep. Yeah, and he's kind of been overshadowed because Richard Sherman's been the voice of that defense for the last 3 years. Now it's Jimmy Ward's turn to talk. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for Jimmy. All right, so we've just done the fullback, tight end, George Kittle. That's another A. Oh. Kittle and Juszczyk, what a combination.
Kittle is a flat-out A. I was talking to a former coach recently about 49er tight ends. This is a former 49er coach, and he was going over, Charlie Young, Russ Francis, even Brent Jones, and Kittle is beyond them.
Wow.
This is what the coach said.
Wow. Well, his the thing that about Kittle is he's paid like a wide receiver because he's the number one receiver on this team. As good as Ayuk and Debo are, the passing game goes through Kittle. He's the toughest person to match up with for who the hell can cover George Kittle?
Right.
So he's the best receiver on the team. But he's even better at blocking than receiving. I mean, his number one asset is what he does in the run game because he gets such a good push at the edge of the line that a lot of times Mostert can just run straight to the sideline and gain 7 yards. It's a nice combination. So, yeah, Kittle's really good. Only thing is he missed 8 games last year, broke a foot running. Plays a very physical style of football. Is he getting better, getting worse?
And then came back when he didn't have to.
He absolutely did. I just wonder, is he breaking down? Probably not. But until he does break down, whenever that day is, he's an A plus.
Yeah, I'm taking a leap of faith that was freaky and that he's okay.
Domain threat. Hey, Domain says this team needs a James White type back on third down, and Dwelly has potential to get more snaps to keep Kittle fresh, who's injury prone. I love Ross Dwelly. That guy is an A backup. They do need a pass catching third down back. That's what Jerick McKinnon was supposed to be. It's what they don't have. It's nice to have. They don't really have it. All right, but they do have Juszczyk. They could use him more often. All right, I think it's time to get to the offensive line.
Okay.
Left tackle, Trent Williams. He's the best left tackle in the game. A, end of story.
End of story. He's an A.
He's so good. The Niners are paying him in a couple of years, like 27, 28 million a year. He's getting quarterback money because he protects the quarterback. He's that important. A. All right, let's move on. Left guard, Laken Tomlinson. This guy always wins the 49ers Bob McKittrick Award, which goes to the best offensive lineman on the team. It's voted on by the players and the coaching staff. I don't get it. I don't understand why they always honor him. He's so replaceable to me. He's okay. He's not bad, but the Niners pass protection has been an issue for years. He's the one who got Jimmy Garoppolo hurt last year. He's ordinary. I'd give him a C.
I agree. I do.
Okay. Laken Tomlinson, a C. I mean, then they got a new center, Alex Mack. Went to Cal, was great at Cal. First round pick, played for a couple of teams, was really good. He's 36 now. And the last team that wanted him, that had him, the Atlanta Falcons, didn't want him this offseason. Now, for the 49ers, he's a big step up because last year they didn't have a center. Weston Richburg missed a whole year, then he retired. His replacement, Ben Garland, missed the whole year. And so they had Hronis Grasu, who was like not in the league anymore, and Daniel Brunskill, who was learning the position. So they had like Fs at center. So Alex Mack is an important addition. He's a big upgrade. I'd give him a C.
I don't have an opinion on him, Iggy. I've never been aware of him.
He's been fading the last few years. He's about a year younger than Joe Staley. He's smart. He'll get the line calls right, but I don't know how physically dominant he'll be at 36 years old. But still an upgrade and an important signing for them. Probably could have done better. There were other centers available who were 31 as opposed to 36, but he's decent. So I'll give him a C. All right, let's move on. What?
Hold on. Their offensive line coach, do you respect his judgment?
His judgment? That's a loaded question.
Okay.
You don't know about this guy. Chris Forrester?
I don't know anything about him. I meant his judgment of players.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so he was a big-time offensive line coach. He was getting like $1 million a year. He was in Miami. He got in a scandal. He got fired.
I didn't know that.
And the Niners kind of brought him in as a consultant because he's so respected for his football acumen. They had this other guy, John Benton, who was no good. He followed Saleh to the Jets, and the Niners finally elevated Chris Forrester because it's been about 4 or 5 years since his scandal, and people forgot. And he deserves a second chance. So he's back, and he's supposed to be good. This is his first year in control, so we'll see what he does.
Okay. The reason I asked, those offensive line coaches are so important because they can get a C player and make them a B.
Yeah, and the Niners defensive line coach, Chris Koserick, did that last year, up and down the defensive line. So, yeah, we'll see. This guy's is new, and he should be an upgrade because the last guy was again. Okay, center Mac. Right guard. This one's interesting. The Niners drafted a guard in round 2, Aaron Banks. He probably should start, but you can never just assume that a second-round pick is going to beat out a veteran. I mean, the Niners drafted Joshua Garnett in round 1 5 years ago, and he never really became a starter. So I'm not just going to assume that Banks is going to take this job until he beats out Daniel Brunskill. Brunskill is a starting right guard. And I like Daniel Brunskill. I mean, he's, again, in that class of players along with Emmanuel Mosley. He's like the Emmanuel Mosley of the offense. He can play a bunch of different positions. He competes. He doesn't totally implode when he's going up against good players. He's really done well against Aaron Donald twice. He's another former undrafted free agent who looks a little goofy on the field. He doesn't look like a premium athlete, but he's solid. He's definitely a starting caliber offensive lineman. He's a C.
Sounds fair to me.
He's a C.
He's a C.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. So far what we've given them is an A, a C, and a C?
Yes.
Is that where we're at?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now we're getting to Mike McGlinchey.
Okay.
Mike McGlinchey last year to me was an F. And I say that because he admitted it. I mean, he said he weighed 285 pounds last year. I don't think you can play offensive tackle in the NFL in 2020 and 2021 at 285 pounds. He's not quick. So even at 285 pounds, he was getting beaten around the edge. But he also wasn't strong or powerful. And he was getting pushed back, not just by defensive ends, but by blitzing defensive backs. So 285-pound Mike McGlinchey's an F and needed to get replaced. He acknowledged that he was too light last year. He acknowledged that he needed to get stronger, and he said he has. He says he weighs 315 pounds. I've seen 315-pound Mike McGlinchey. It's what he was the first 2 years of his career. It's a very good run blocker. A very good run blocker. He fits the Niners scheme perfectly. He's a serviceable, at best, pass protector. I would give him a C. Although it's possible he's worse than that.
Okay, let's say this. I agree with the C. I'm not giving up on him.
Okay.
I think he's a C with the possibility to be a B. I do think that with the possibility to be a B. But what I want to get back to now, I think we've given them 1A and 4 Cs.
Yes.
On the offensive line.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a major issue. I think the offensive line is arguably what ruined their season last year. It was the worst offensive line in the league. They led the league in quarterback hits allowed. They got 2 quarterbacks hurt, and they brought in a new quarter. They got rid of 2 of the quarterbacks, essentially blamed Mullins and Beathard. They're replacing the 3rd quarterback. Jimmy's going to be replaced sooner or later. And they made some cosmetic changes to the offensive line. They brought in a 36-year-old center, and they drafted a couple of guys who may or may not contribute this year or ever. And they're saying, well, we'll give everyone another shot.
Well, I don't know if you agree with this, Iggy, but I feel when you think about units on a team, I feel the offensive line is the most important unit. I do.
I think so too. I think so.
You do?
I think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, if the quarterback is the most important position, the quarterback can't play football without an offensive line. So it seems to me that the offensive line is the most important thing. And, you know, the Browns, they were that ridiculous team that was they went like 0-16 2 years in a row with Hugh Jackson. They couldn't figure it out. And then they last year brought in a new head coach, but they also brought in a new general manager who's my age. He's like 33. And he went in there, and you know what he did? First thing he did was overhaul the offensive line.
Yeah.
Drafted a tackle, signed a tackle. What'd they do? They went to the playoffs, and they're really good. And now they are a really good team because Baker Mayfield has time to throw.
Yeah. So
remember what what's his the Raiders GM told you that one time, Reggie McKenzie. What did he say? The big people let the little people play football.
Yeah, he did tell me that.
That's a good line.
He was quite a bright guy.
Yes. Yes.
Still is quite a bright guy.
Yes.
Yes. We're being as realistic as we can be, Iggy, given these grades all around the team. The grades, essentially, it's a C line, except for the left tackle. Essentially, it's a C line.
But they do have the best left tackle in the league, and the left tackle is the most important position. So as a unit, theoretically, it should be better than it should be in the B range. But as we saw last year, Trent Williams' great individual play doesn't necessarily rub off on others. He kind of does his job while the other people do theirs, so to speak.
Well, I just think as we've gone through that unit, it's troubling. It's the only place. Well, there's one other place I think it's troubling, but the only place we've gotten to so far that's troubling. Let's move on.
Yeah. Domain Threat says Tom Nalen was about 36 when Denver won their 2 Super Bowls, same as Matt. Gibbs' tape will explain how important he will be this year. We'll see. Burden of proof's on him. I mean, there's a reason the Falcons didn't want him. Okay, let's move on to the last few positions. Quarterback.
That's fascinating. It's the most fascinating. Do you mind if I go first on this one?
Go for it.
I honestly feel that you cannot give a grade at this time.
I think you can.
Huh?
Here's why. I think you can. Let me say why. I think this is still Jimmy Garoppolo's team. He hasn't been beaten out yet. He's still the starting quarterback. I'm going to grade him.
Okay.
I'm going to grade him. And I think, if Jimmy Garoppolo could stay healthy, he'd be a B quarterback. He can't move. He doesn't throw downfield, but he finds a way to win. I mean, more often than he loses.
Okay.
He is pretty good on third down. He's got a quick release. He's got guts. At least as a thrower, he'll throw the ball into congested areas, but he does get hurt. And I think he's starting to lose a little bit of his edge. 8-6 in his last 14 starts. I'm going to say he's a C quarterback. And the Niners, until they find out what they have with Trey Lance, they got a C quarterback situation.
I think you made a really good case for that. What I was going to say is it's so unsettled. How the hell do you grade it? But it's true. Jimmy's the starter.
Jimmy's the starter.
He hasn't been displaced.
Nope. And
I feel that, right, we grade him down. He's a B quarterback when he plays for the most part. But if he's hurt so much, we grade him down as we've graded down other hurt players. So he's a C quarterback. Now, Iggy, that's an issue.
It is an issue. I mean, we gave the defense a lot of good grades, and we gave the skill position on offense good grades, but 4 C's on the offensive line and a C quarterback, you're not going to go to a Super Bowl like that.
It's troubling.
It's troubling. I don't want to come out, but I'm just saying, like, you got a quarterback, and why is he a C? Well, he's a C because he takes too long to decide where he wants to go with the ball. He stares down his first read. He gets hit. He can't protect himself.
I was going to say he can't protect.
He can't protect himself, and he doesn't get rid of the ball quickly enough where it's not an issue. And then when he does get hit, he doesn't seem to be particularly durable. All those things are an issue. So if he played behind the best offensive line in the league, you'd say, all right, well, at least he's in the right spot for him. But he doesn't. So it's a troubling combination. And you saw what happened. It didn't make it through 2 games last year.
Yeah.
Not much has changed. They added a 36-year-old center. That's the big difference. So we'll see. But no. Hold on. Let's find a way to be positive here. The big difference is Trey Lance is on the team, as opposed to the Rams, who had Jared Goff and were trying to figure out how to replace him, and then ultimately got another veteran. The Niners have a 21-year-old that they can groom at their pace. So whenever they decide that this guy that they apparently love is ready, then they could be in a whole different stratosphere. The thing that's cool about Trey Lance is he looks like he has the potential to be in the A range one day, which is why they gave up so much to get him.
Right. So they're not being foolhardy. In fact, they're preparing for the future. Yes. So even though currently they have a C quarterback, and I agree, but they're not being idiotic. They seem to be very prudent and planning correctly.
Yeah, it's like they agree with us. It's like Kyle Shanahan is just as realistic on Jimmy Garoppolo as you and I, and has found a replacement for at some point. The thing about the offensive line is they don't necessarily have those players in the offensive line. They got who they got, and they'll have to work, or else they'll have to rebuild it down the line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meaning, Iggy, that the offensive line is more troubling than the quarterbacks.
Yes. And so the main threat actually leads me to my next and final point. He says Lance's ability to run will actually make the protection better. Yeah, that's what the Niners have to help their offensive line. Not a better offensive lineman, a more elusive quarterback. And that's important. That is important. He'll make all those guys look better.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Last 2 guys. Let's do a little special teams just because they're players too. The kicker, Robbie Gould. He's almost 40. He is one of the most accurate kickers of all time. He's had his last 2 seasons have been rough statistically, but the Niners have been cycling through long snappers, and it's like he's got the battery in front of him has been changing constantly. I still think he is money inside 45 yards, which is what you want. It's good to have a guy who can knock down a 53-yard field goal, but as long as you're money inside 45, you can win a Super Bowl with a guy like that. I don't think he's elite anymore, but I'd give him a B.
Okay. Now, I want to pursue something. We want you, when I say we, me and your brother Brian, do another interview kind of soon.
Yeah.
And he's on my list. There are 2 co-contenders. Robbie Gould, however he pronounces it, and Mostert. Uh-huh. So I'm your dad.
I gave Mostert a B too.
Stop it. What I'm saying is not the grade. We want you to interview one of those.
Okay, fair enough.
Why'd you change the subject?
Well, I thought you said I was too hard on Robbie. He won't come on the show because I gave him a B.
No, I wasn't saying that at all.
I'll call Robbie's agent.
I think you should.
Okay.
And Mostert. And I think people think that next week there ought to be an interview.
Okay, well, we'll see what I can do.
All right. Next.
The punter, Mitch Wishnowsky. They spent a 4th-round pick on this guy. C. He's so ordinary.
He is.
He doesn't kick the ball that far, but he kicks it high in the air.
High is good.
He's got hang time. High is good. I like high. You like high? High. I can work with high. C.
Could he develop into a B?
No, when they drafted him, he was 27.
Right.
He's from Australia. He's one of these like rugby players who learned how to play football, and he's okay.
So he talks with that kind of an accent?
I've never heard him talk. Why would you talk to a C punter? I'm sorry. But why would you talk to a C punter?
Because he might be fascinating.
Might be fascinating.
And he's sitting in the edge of the room looking, and he might have things to say.
That's true. Sorry, Mitch. Let's talk.
I always like to talk to the kickers.
Yeah, and he's from Australia.
Yeah.
So maybe I should talk to him. Maybe I should just bypass Robbie Gould and go straight to Mitch.
No.
Okay, those are our rankings. So hold on. Let me go through and see how many A's we gave. The A's are Jimmy Ward, Jason Verrett, Fred Warner, Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, and Trent Williams. That's 6. 6 A's.
3 and 3, Iggy.
3 and 3.
Defense, 3 on offense.
Okay, these are the B's. Tart, K'Wan Williams, Dre Greenlaw, Samson Ebukam, Nick Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel, Raheem Mostert, Robbie Gould.
Okay. 5 on defense, 3 on offense, 1 special teams.
Okay, and then the C's are Emmanuel Mosley, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, Laken Tomlinson, Alex Mack, Daniel Brunskill, Mike McGlinchey, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitch Wishnowsky.
Wow, a lot of C's on offense.
3 on defense, 5 on offense. Yeah. So
Wow.
The offense it's interesting. It's an offensive coach, but they're much more established on defense and have been that way for the entire time Kyle Shanahan's been here.
Yeah. You know, Iggy, it's very interesting. We're talking about this, and you realize that's one hell of a defense. One hell of a defense. And you know it's going to be great. And an offense that needs to prove itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of hope for the offense because Kyle Shanahan's very clever. You always feel like he can get the most out of whoever he's working with, and he probably can. And they got a new quarterback who was the 3rd freaking pick in the draft. So that's exciting. We'll see. They might end up being a very good offense, but they're not established at all.
They have more to prove, I believe, than the defense.
Absolutely.
Hey, Iggy, I really enjoyed this exercise.
Yeah, me too. This was a lot of fun. This was good. We find good off-season discussion topics, which are not easy.
We got 2 more topics. Should we move on?
Yeah, real quick. Brandon wants to know what our wine bets are going into the season.
Oh, yeah.
We have like 8. No, we have one biggie that I remember that leads us into our next topic. We are still betting on who's going to start week 1.
Right.
We have like a $50 bottle of Pinots from somewhere riding on this. I say Trey Lance will start. My dad says Jimmy Garoppolo will start, and he's going to make the case again. We haven't talked about this in a few weeks, but explain why Jimmy Garoppolo has to be the starter.
This is why I think Jimmy has to be the starter. And Iggy, if I get confused, tell me, because I'm not a good straight ahead thinker. If you don't start Jimmy, let's imagine you start Shanahan starts Trey Lance, game 1. You lose Jimmy right away. Mm-hmm. Jimmy's angry. Mm-hmm. Jimmy feels dissed. And so now you've lost one of your quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I'm just going through one scenario. Mm-hmm. Trey Lance starts, but he's not ready. He's not ready.
Yeah.
Which is entirely possible. And they have to bring back Jimmy. Well, now you're bringing back a guy who's angry and may feel screw the team. Plus, now you humiliated Trey Lance.
Yes.
And if Jimmy gets hurt and you bring him back, you've hurt his confidence. So you've hurt. Starting Jimmy has the potential to really hurt your 2 quarterbacks and make them not function.
Starting Trey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I get confused.
It's okay.
If you start Jimmy, Trey Lance can think, that's fine. I'm still learning. I can stand on the sideline near Shanahan and hear him call the plays, and I can really learn the offense. Jimmy either does well and then he's there for a while, or gets hurt or doesn't do well. Now you bring in Trey Lance. He hasn't been diminished. He's been learning and looking. Jimmy understands the reason he's out. You don't have a divided locker room, and you don't have bitterness from the quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's the thing. If the 49ers give this job to Trey Lance and keep Jimmy Garoppolo and make him be the backup, I think you divide the locker room right there. Because a lot of people look at it like, dude, why are you doing this to Jimmy? Jimmy has only been a good guy. He's never complained. We've won with him. And now you're embarrassing him. Remember, the Niners did this to Alex Smith. They took his job away when he got hurt, and they made him stand on the sideline as Colin Kaepernick was taking the team to the Super Bowl. There's nothing they could really do about it, but it was humiliating for Alex Smith. They even had him be the captain. Remember, he would go out for the coin flip and then go and watch. But they could have kept him the next year, had a great backup quarterback, but they didn't, because it would have been humiliating to him, and it would have continued to split the locker room. I'm sure there would a lot of people in that team like Alex doesn't deserve this, so they got rid of him. And I think if the Niners go with Trey Lance, they got to do the same thing with Jimmy. Otherwise, you're going to piss off a lot of people on this team.
Right.
So they can't. You can't have Jimmy as a backup. That's just it. Whenever Trey Lance is ready, Jimmy has to go. And what you're saying is, what if Trey Lance isn't ready? I'm with you, Dad. If Trey Lance isn't ready, he shouldn't play. Absolutely not. Because if he isn't ready, not only do you piss off Jimmy, but again, you piss off the team. You heard what Jimmy Ward said about Jared Goff, right? He's like, why'd they get rid of Jared Goff on the Rams? They only won with him. And now you're bringing in Matt Stafford. Like, how's that going to go? Well, the same attitude applies to Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sure a lot of people like Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart who were on this team when it sucked and they lost all the time are like, well, okay, well, if you get us a better quarterback, great, but we like Jimmy because Jimmy wins.
He wins.
Jimmy wins. So if Trey Lance isn't ready and they play him anyway, you piss off the team. You could lose the locker room. Kyle could get fired because that's pretty much what happened in Philly last year. They created a quarterback controversy, split the locker room. Doug Peterson lost it and got fired, even though he won a Super Bowl just a few years ago.
Right.
So you can't do that. The only thing I would say to you is, I'm not trying to argue with you. The only thing is, if he looks ready, Trey Lance, and he looks good and he's passed every test in training camp and in preseason, I'd go with him. But I'm saying, like, if he kicks ass in preseason and training camp, save that. No, it should be Jimmy's job.
Yeah, Iggy, he would have to kick some major ass.
He would have to kick some major ass.
He would.
But again, Jimmy's a C, okay? Jimmy does have some things going for him, and he does win more than he loses, but he's a freaking C. And I've seen Trey Lance, even though he's young, his talent is a talent. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for this. 6 days. 6 days, Dad. Can't wait.
It starts in 6 days?
They report, I want to say 5 days. They report on the 27th, and their first practice is the 29th. So a week from today, I'm going to be watching the quarterback competition start. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Iggy, are you allowed into the locker room?
I don't think yet. I don't think during training camp, but I think during the season, yes.
Okay.
They're trying to figure it out. I mean, they're just kind of basically mandating. You see the new thing they did today? They're saying if a team has to miss a game because a bunch of players get COVID, that the team forfeits and has to pay for the loss in revenue. So they're putting a lot of pressure on players to get the vaccination because there's a lot of players who don't want to get it. And so they're saying, like, if you don't get the vaccine and you get COVID, you have to miss like 10 days. But if you do get the vaccine and you get COVID, you only have to miss like a day or two. You know, they're trying to really incentivize getting it. So we'll see what happens.
That is the league getting a little political, which does lead into our final topic.
Yes, it does. Okay, let's talk about it.
Iggy, I would like to introduce it.
Okay, real quick. Sean said, going back to our previous topic, you're crazy. Debo is an A+. He might be. Let's see what he can do. He's healthy. All right, let's our last topic. You go.
This is really important, and it's really a sensitive topic. So please listen carefully to what Grant and I are saying, and if we misspeak, don't jump on us because we're doing the best we can. It's about the league's decision to play the Black National Anthem before games. Now, Iggy, is it before all games or only the first week of the season? I'm unclear on that, but either way, it's either the first week or all weeks, and someone out there can please help us. Look, I want to say the NFL has its heart in the right place. It wants to honor Black people, and there's been so much talk about police violence, especially toward Black men. And the league is trying to be socially conscious.
Yes.
And
do the right thing.
And to do the right thing. And again, its heart is in the right place.
Yes.
So please understand what I'm saying in my preamble.
Yes.
Sometimes when people do things with an open heart and a good heart, they don't always think of the consequences of their actions. And there are two things that trouble me about playing the Black National Anthem before football games. And I'll try to explain it. And again, please give me a break. One is, let's say they play They play the two anthems in Dallas before a game, and I don't know what order they would play them in. But let's say Black people stand up for the Black national anthem, but some white people don't, which is going to happen. Or let's say some people stand up for the Star Spangled Banner, but some people, white or Black, don't stand up for it.
Mm-hmm.
I predict, also given there's going to be alcohol, people tailgate and all that, there'll be fights in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
I just see that happening somewhere where people feel disrespected in one way or another. I'm not assigning blame on either side, but I think one unintended possible consequence of what the league is doing by meaning well, there can be fights in the stands. And what I'm saying, Iggy, there will be.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, think about it on a team. What if it's a predominantly Black league? What if some players on a team feel that certain white players aren't sufficiently respectful of the Black national anthem, or vice versa? Some players are not sufficiently respectful of the Star Spangled Banner. Now you got tension in a team. And you would, and I think you will. And again, I'm not putting down the NFL, but I think this is another possible unintended consequence of a good action that there could be, I believe will be, tension on some teams because it could lead to misunderstandings. Iggy, do you have any trouble with anything I've said?
No, and the way I look at this is like it's most likely a corporate solution to a very complicated issue. And the people who decided on it are probably very rich white people with their heart in the right place. But and they're probably thinking, okay, so a lot of Black players don't want to stand for the national anthem, so let's give them an anthem they want to stand for. It's probably that simple. And I get that. But I think what this also is, and I defer to Black people. Like if you're Black and you're watching and you feel like this is a great idea, I'd love to hear why, because I'm open-minded. But from a white Jewish man's perspective, it looks like what's the word? Why am segregation. It looks like segregation to me. Like what's next? Like white and Black water fountains, white and Black bathrooms. So after 50, I mean, the civil rights movement was 50 years ago, and 50 years later, what we've decided is the height of social consciousness is separation.
Meaning two separate anthems.
Really? That's the best we can do in 2021? I don't know. There's no common ground for Americans in 2021. That's the way I see it. But maybe Black people see it differently. Maybe it means a lot to them to have a Black national and to be acknowledged that way. Just feels like segregation.
I would say Black people do feel differently, and you and I are not equipped to even feel how they feel.
Yeah. If they want it, they can have it. If they would say, no, you don't understand. This means a lot to us. Shut up. I'll shut up. I'm asking, does it not feel like segregation? Do you like this? Is this what you want from the NFL?
Meaning have two separate anthems.
Yeah. Is this the solution that you like? Or is this more of kind of an empty gesture?
Okay.
And maybe a wrong-headed gesture.
Well, I'm concerned about it. I'm concerned that it's going to lead to disharmony. And the way Iggy perceives it is separation, where we want to bring the country together, e pluribus unum. Here, where now we have two separate.
You're fighting racism with segregation. That's the way I see it. It's like it doesn't seem like the solution to racism, segregation. Just keep people separate. Okay, everyone. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Here's one thing. I have a suggestion. It'll never happen. It's a radical suggestion. I'm against playing any anthems at the games.
Wasn't that one of your first columns that you wrote for the Chronicle in like 1979?
Yes, when I came in, one of my first columns was "Don't play the national anthem anymore," and people got very polarized. And there's a chapter in my book about it. Let me just say this. So I'm saying rather than add a national anthem, subtract all national anthems, and I'm going to give you a reason. Iggy and I have been, Iggy's been to hundreds of games. I've been to thousands of games. And they play, any sport you name that I go to. They play the Star Spangled Banner. Iggy, you know as well as I do that in the press box, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke. Everybody stands, but begrudgingly, because, we have to do this again.
Yeah.
If there's a performer, and this performer is trying to make an artistic statement and bringing out the notes, and someone will get out a stopwatch.
Oh, yeah.
And routinely and say he's going over 2 minutes. You know?
2:30. Yeah.
And people will laugh, right?
Sometimes people will place bets on how over under 2:15. What are we thinking here, guys? What are we thinking?
That happens all the time. So what I'm saying is playing let's even put out the black for a minute. The national anthem, playing it's become a joke in press boxes. I think a lot of people in the stands do it begrudgingly also. Oh, now I got to stand up, step on the peanut shells and do this. And what I think is, after a while, you don't hear it.
Yes.
You don't hear it. It just becomes a burden.
Yeah.
So what I think is they should play the national anthem on certain days, July 4th, like at baseball games, July 4th,
Veterans Day,
and the black national anthem on Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And if you
That's a good idea. I like that.
Yes. I would think it would be
That's
great.
cool.
Play that or on, I don't know what Martin Luther King's birthday is. I don't know. But on
that wouldn't affect baseball season, but NBA can do it.
Yes, the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think if you would feature the Black national anthem in sports on appropriate days, and if you would feature the Star Spangled Banner on appropriate days for our country, people would really hear it and literally rise to the occasion. And that's my solution, but I don't believe it would ever happen.
Yeah. All right, let's take some questions. Domain Threat says, I'm a black man and I honestly feel like this is nothing more than a token gesture, make real progress on the ground in the local communities. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
It's some black coaches. That would be more helpful than this.
Yeah, get more black coaches.
Get more black coaches. There were two more, just a second. Okay. Porn star Jimmy says, Roger Goodell is ruining the NFL with all the politics. Make him resign. I think he's not going to resign. He's making about $50 million a year, but maybe he'll retire eventually. I don't know. Brandon says, media being burned on Mac Jones info, not hearing a thing about Warner's deal till it's done, and these things to read into regarding Niners PR culture. Niners have a new PR director. So, I mean, a lot of the Niners stuff is their reputation with the media is Jed York and people at that level. But they have a new PR director. I don't know how the Niners do business anymore, so we'll find out. I did my research, though. I heard he's very professional. So
that you've asked about him and you've heard he's very good?
Nothing, but he's extremely professional is what I've heard. So
it's so nice to hear, Iggy.
Yeah. All right. That's our last topic. I think that was a good discussion.
Iggy, I really appreciate it, and I hope people aren't angry at us. We really tried hard, and you said things I didn't understand. I couldn't have understood on my own, and you helped me in this discussion, which I must admit I did with fear and trembling.
Yeah, I don't want to upset anyone at all. This is more of a discussion that we're coming to as outsiders, and we're acknowledging that we're open-minded if someone has a different take, but this is the way we look at it. And I understand probably the people in the NFL see it one way, but looked at another way, it's just segregation. It doesn't seem like the right solution. There's got to be more meaningful, better ways to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish.
Sounds like a place to end. All
right, Dad. Well, thank you everyone for watching the Cohn Zone. It was great to see you, Dad. I love you, and I'll call you in a minute.
I love you, Iggy. I'll put the phones back on. So long, everybody. Talk to you next week.
Take care.